Welcome back into TrackTown Live. Jordan Kent alongside Paul Swangard as we get set for the 2017 NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships. At this time, we are joined by Chris Nilsen and Derek Miles of South Dakota. Chris, the athlete, Derek, the coach, though he is still an athlete. Trust me when I say that. And Chris, I want to get your thoughts on what got you into the pole vault, because a lot of vaulters, they're terrific athletes, but at what point did you realize, hey, I'm a pretty good athlete, I'm going to go launch myself 18-plus feet into the air over this bar?
Well, first of all, thanks for having us, guys. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Actually, it was kind of a secondary sport because I played soccer for 13 years, from 4 to 17 years old, and I needed something to do in the off-season to prepare for soccer the next season. So I started doing track, and coincidentally, my English teacher in 8th grade was also the pole vault coach for the high school. So I was like, yeah, I'll go with someone familiar, and then just kind of took off. And then sometime around my junior year, I started going to a private coach named Rick Addig, based in Merriam, Kansas, and everything kind of took off from there.
And Derek, he talks about his progression. At what point did you see something special in the young man, and when did he first give you that wow moment that this is someone incredible right here?
Well, that's kind of been continually happening the whole year. You know, I think, you know, when you jump 17 feet as a junior in high school and you win the state meet, but you see that he came from 15 feet at the beginning of the year, and then, you know, obviously that kind of triggers some interest in a lot of schools. But, you know, watching him kind of move through those gears, not only in high school, but even in this first year of college, which is hard to navigate. You have a lot of things that change. You're not living at home anymore. Your diet changes, all these different things. And but I mean, he's a kid that's been able to take those changes, adapt to them, and just kind of grow every week. And so that's kind of been the fun, exciting part to kind of watch.
When they talk about growing each week as a freshman, they usually talk about the freshman 15. But what is it about your transition that, you know, what was your approach? How did you say, okay, I'm going to make this transition to college. I want to be good at this sport I love, but I also need to learn how to be a good student, you know, be a young adult that's out on their own for the first time?
Well, you know, you kind of said it right there, the freshman 15. I had never weightlifted in my life before college. So I came in and got on his whole weightlifting program and his speed program, and I literally gained 15 pounds from muscle. And
that's the good kind of 15.
Right, maybe a little couple chicken sandwiches there. But and then, you know, Derek just made it really easy transitioning. You know, he was so supportive, and the team was so dedicated to their events and their sports, and the team itself. You know, everybody at USD is a great welcoming person, and they're all great friends of mine. I've got a great team of vaulters and just teammates on the track team in general, and then I'm friends with people on other sports. But, you know, USD is kind of a home away from home. This is the only school that I really felt, you know, I can go to bed, and then if I close my eyes, I kind of envision myself in my bed at home. So it was just really easy transition.
And Chris, with it being your freshman year, and when you'll be in school later, you'll see freshmen come in and start to try to learn things in the weight room. For you, what was the most difficult thing to sort of master or get in the weight room when you get introduced to all this other training that you've never done before?
Well, you know, that was the funny thing was that I was literally clueless when it came to weightlifting. So I had to ask, what's the difference between a back squat and a front squat? And I didn't really know what a bench press was, and I was literally clueless when it came to weightlifting. So when our strength and conditioning coach would tell us, hey, here's our workout for today, I'd have to go to him and be like, hey, what is this again? I'm sorry, I don't know. So once I started actually getting some education on it, things became a little easier, but it started out as like a complete blank.
And Derek, we see the strength improvement obviously for Chris, but what else are you guys focusing in on as far as his development? Because obviously it's his first year. He's done a phenomenal job so far this season, but you would look at all this talent in a young athlete, and there's probably more room to improve. Where are you focusing your efforts on with Chris?
You know, it's a good question. You know, at any given time, we've got probably 5 plates in the air. We're trying to keep them all spinning. But you know, as we move through, he is. Physically, he's a pretty impressive athlete at his age, but there are still things fundamentally that we want to work on, from just basic core work to be able to hold certain positions in the jump, and then, you know, additional strength in your large muscle groups that will help you run faster and be more powerful, those types of things. So really we tackle it from a whole body perspective, where I want to make him super balanced. I want to make him stable. I want to make his core tight, so all these things can kind of support the power that he's going to put into the pole. And that's kind of in the future, we're trying to keep him away from injury, but develop things and continue to make technical improvements. I think will make a big difference in the long run.
And coming off your success indoors, you get a chance to go to Drake Relays, and then you're toe-to-toe with one of the heroes of the Rio Olympic Games, medalist in Sam Kendricks, as you use those opportunities to sort of I guess, line yourself up against some of this young emerging star? I mean, got a high schooler now jumping in rarefied air in Mondo Duplantis.
Right.
To be good at this sport for a long time, like your coach was, what do you think you have to do to bring consistency and quality to your efforts each and every competition?
I think it's really simple. Where it's just I listen to him, and he's the kind of coach that he's going to give you 100% honesty, whether it's positive or negative, and he's not going to do anything to jeopardize your career. And the fact that he's even had the experience to go into the pro circuit for multiple years, because he was an athlete for such a long time, and be at multiple Olympics and even get a bronze medal in one of them, it gives me hope that I'll be able to do that one day. And if he's helping me do it, then maybe I could do more, and that would be fantastic. But right now I'm just listening to him. I'm 19 years old, and I've got a really long career ahead of me, hopefully, and I'm just going to kind of keep doing what I'm doing right now.
And Derek, as of April, you had to add something to your home insurance rider, which is a bronze medal from Beijing. As one of the places was vacated, you get moved up to where you belonged, which is on the podium. It's never going to be as satisfying as that moment in the bird's nest, but just talk about hearing the news and finally getting a chance to have a medal.
Well, I think that was the thing that was always troubling to me in my career. Is it was a lot of years and 6 world championship teams and a few Olympic teams, and just coming fourth a couple times and just kind of not quite putting it together on those days. That was always tough. And I'm competitive. I'll always view it that way. I still feel like 9 years ago I should have just got it done on the day. I was ready to do it. And but in terms of at the end of the day, if you feel like, man, I have something that I can kind of anchor my career on, I think that's kind of fun. So.
And I'm curious, Chris, when you look at your first year in college, it's a lot longer season than anything you experienced in high school. How have you been able to balance just more meets and a longer season as you prepare for these championships?
Well, it's a lot to weather, like you said, and it's a lot longer. In high school, I would maybe go to like a 10 or 11 meets and just on my high school career, and then I'd be done. And then somewhere around my senior year, I started traveling to summer meets. But I think it's just recovery. Recovery is very important, and that's something a lot of athletes tend to skip on, whereas they focus more on, we got to train, we got to get better today. But a lot of ways of getting better, recovery is just as important in training, so you don't get hurt. And you see a lot of athletes get hurt because of that. So if I just keep following Derek's training and I just keep on the recovery process and take things slow and try not to think of it as, it's not really a sprint, it's more of a marathon. So if you take it as a marathon, then things tend to look a little easier.
Well, Chris, Derek, thank you so much again for joining us. Best of luck this week. Stick around, plenty more when we come back on TrackTown Live from here at historic Hayward Field.